I'm a designer in Columbus. Born and raised here, went to school here. Went to Columbus College of Art and Design, and I exist as a designer in Columbus. I have a day job as a designer at Resource Interactive. I have a company on the side called Board Sketchbooks. It's all about kind of designer, limited edition sketchbooks and feeding the creative culture. I just try to get involved in as many projects creatively as I can on the side. Anytime I have an idea, I do what I can to make it happen, for better or for worse. And Columbus has been a great place to get it done. The thing that I like about working here is I feel that because it's so eclectic, I could probably come up with just about any idea and find someone that could latch onto it and push it out some avenue somewhere. There are just a lot of open-minded people here. Columbus is a huge test market for product innovations for huge companies because we're like this kind of microcosm of the world. So they can kind of get an idea of how everyone else will react to something by testing it in Columbus, which I always thought was interesting and kind of cool. We see things in Columbus that some people never ever see because it didn't make it here, but it's kind of neat to be able to, you know, experience it before it even happens, or if it never even does happen. I don't want it to become a Me Too city. I don't want it to become like everyone knows us now because we're like the little version of New York. I definitely want to make sure that we keep our identity as a town that is based on education and service, and it's a tight-knit community, and we can create awesome modern things using traditional methods or traditional thinking. As long as we can keep our identity, I would love it for it to not be a secret. I want to be known as Columbus, the city of X, not Columbus, the little brother of Y. I can remember I used to love making things that other people could interact with. And I remember when I was in like first grade, I made a fake math book for my friends and I to pretend like we were in class. And I love the fact that they could like take a textbook just like I had in school, and but we could do it here, and I made it. And I mean, looking back, it's like the most lame thing that you could give to a friend is math problems, but for me it was great to be able to create things that someone else could use. I think it was accidental. When I started college, CCAD, the way that their curriculum is set up is everyone takes the first year. It's the same thing. You don't choose a major. You have foundation studies in all of these different fields. I think it's a great setup because it allows you to learn what's out there and then make an educated choice on what you want to be. When I went into CCAD, I thought I was going to be an illustrator because that's what I knew and that's what I did in high school and I was good at it. But you know, picking up on typography, I had never even thought of typography as an art until I got to college. And I was like, you know, there's a lot that goes into this, and it's really interesting, and I like how structured and refined it is. So things like typography, how to use photography, and computers, as I said. And yeah, I guess I kind of did stumble into design that way. I try not to make distinctions. At least not in execution. In concept, I kind of consider like if the piece is meant to communicate an idea to a wider audience, then I think of it more as design because it's about simplifying a concept. If it's about a personal expression of a concept, then it's usually a more fine arts thing for me. But executionally, like it's very gray area. Something on the side, I always like the idea of designer objects that people can use and interact with, something that might feel like fine art, but we want people to touch it and use it, and it's an actual thing. Well, for the first one we did 5. We did 5 of these. I don't have them all. Then we did a second collection with a local artist and designer. His name is Jason Limegruber. He does this really great kind of visceral painting technique, and what we did is we had to make 2 of his big paintings with white paint, one on a black background, one on a white background. So they were like massive. And we cut them down, those bigger paintings down, into individual covers. And what it created was this like little mini collection, almost like artifacts from a bigger painting, and each one is unique. I just did a line called Sketchbooks in Space. This is kind of a pet project for me. It's all about the materials that are used. I love the fact that this is chrome bubble wrap and it holds fluorescent paper. It's, like I said, it's a pet project for me. Some people are like, how can you even write on that? And I'm like, I love writing on it. I love going into a meeting with like suits and opening this up, and then somebody goes, I'm going to break down this idea that fine art is for people that like fine art and go to museums and spend thousands of dollars on paintings. I just want somebody to treat this like a sketchbook, and then if they feel like it's art, it's their art. You can buy them at boardsketchbooks.com, or if you're in Columbus, Holy Craft is a consignment shop on High Street in Clintonville. It's my favorite spot in the city. Go there for the sketchbooks and stay for everything else. I think it's irresponsible to work in a marketing services agency and allow too much of your own personal style to creep into the work. I mean, you have to be able to respect that someone is paying you money, and you know, they have their strategies and their goals. It's definitely a different approach. It's kind of fun. It's a different challenge altogether. It feels more like I don't know. It feels more like a math problem that you need to solve, which is a great challenge for me, and I like it. And the fact that the solution always has this kind of visual component to it is great. But I think the things I do on the side, they feel a little more selfish. The hardest part about being a professional designer in an agency is you don't want to lose your identity as a designer or an artist. So while I think it is irresponsible a lot of times to inject your own style into things that aren't actually calling for it, you do still have to be an advisor to a marketing department somewhere off in space that you know, they might think they know better than you, and they might think that they can direct you and tell you what to do as an artist, but it's often having to convince someone that you're an expert that is the hardest part of the job. And when you do finally convince someone of that, you have a little more leeway with your personal style, I think, but you always have to keep it in check.